Who knows the end? What has risen may sink, and what has sunk may rise. Loathsomeness waits and dreams in the deep.
Krakens. They rule the mightiest kingdoms, lightless trenches of crushing pressures where the sun never touches. Unreachable seas that writhe in anger, jagged depths under sheer black cliffs. Their home is alien, elemental, and unforgiving. And here they are masters. Cruel geniuses possessing vast strength. They wait in the dark, weaving their plots, slowly considering their next abomination, their next move in an endless evil game of vast complexity. Not merely hulking mindless brutes, nor cathedrals of flesh-given fury, but sadists, torturers, and unspeakable terrors, thinking Goliaths of calculating hate. So many places exist where the sea touches the land and sky. So many places where Krakens, the unseen masters of the oceans, might reach out their cruel tentacles to afflict the lives of men. Whole nations quake in fear when the Kraken emerges from its dark domain, and even in the middle of the deepest oceans, storms rise or abate according to its will. The Kraken is a primeval force that obliterates the greatest achievements of civilization as if they were castles in the sand. Its devastating attacks can destroy ocean trade and halt communication between coastal cities. Not even landlocked surface dwellers are safe from a Kraken's wrath. Krakens can breathe air as easily as water, and some crawl up rivers to nest in freshwater lakes, destroying cities and towns along the way. Adventurers tell of these monsters lairing in the ruins of lakeside citadels, their tentacles twined around leaning towers of disintegrating stone. It is said that in ancient times, the Krakens retreated to the depths when the forces of good thwarted their attempt to rule the seas. But it is also said that a day will soon come when the Krakens will rise again. I am William Stark.
I am Omar Timsaw.
And this is D&D Legends and Lore.
Another idle, quiet night at the tavern. It's been like this for weeks. Where are my patrons? My regulars? My friends?
Well,
Whoa, where did you come from?
Never mind that. You wanted to know where they are, and I'm telling you. They're all over at the Laughing Bard.
My only competitor. How has this happened?
2 words, my patronless friend. Tabletone.
Tabletone?
While you sat on your laurels as the formerly sole recreational establishment in the village, hiring whatever minstrel and bard showed up at your door, Bjorn over at the Laughing Bard looked into the adaptive and immersive audio engine of Tabletone, a tool built specifically for tabletop RPGs that helps game masters create immersive soundscapes with music, ambient sounds, and sound effects, all in one place. Or, in this case, an amazing tavern ambience and background soundtrack for ale-loving patrons.
This sounds like dark magic.
I assure you it's not. And what sets Tabletone apart from others is its adaptive audio engine. Instead of simply playing a static playlist, it dynamically blends music, ambience, and sound effects together in real time. So the audio evolves naturally alongside the story. You can move from exploration to combat with a single tap. The transition feels seamless and helps maintain immersion at the table. A quiet tavern can instantly feel alive with background conversations, crackling fireplaces, and subtle music.
Well, that does sound nice.
And then an army of undead horrors invade the village, shifting from eerie ambience to high-stakes combat music the moment danger appears.
Wait, what?
A dragon assault, a haunted crypt, or a demonic world-ending ritual can all have their own unique audio identity.
This is dark magic. Get out of my establishment now.
Well, if you change your mind, you can find me at the Laughing Bard with everyone else. And you can download Tabletone for free on iOS and Android. Start with the included content pack and experience the app for yourself. And check out the Tabletone store to expand your collection with additional content packs. Use the link in the description to get started. Huge thanks to Tabletone for sponsoring this episode. And with that, let us begin.
Beneath the waves it sleeps for untold ages, awaiting some fell sign or calling. The mortal races blithely sail their ships across the sea and build shining cities on its shores, praying to the gods of the sea and the primal spirits for protection. They forget that the dark water holds terrors older than both. Krakens are brutish, gigantic squids that plunder ships and coastal communities in search of food and wealth, which they collect in vast coral palaces deep underwater. An ominous darkness presages a Kraken's attack, and a cloud of inky poison colors the water around it. Galleons and warships vanish when its tentacles uncoil from the deep, the Kraken breaking their masts like kindling before drawing down ships and crew. Krakens slumber in the deepest oceanic abysses, awaiting their time to rise and dominate the world. These massive, many-tentacled horrors combine overwhelming physical might with formidable cunning. Their powerful limbs shatter ships and topple spires, and they use their control over storms to rain down lightning on their foes. Krakens resemble immense squids with streamlined bodies, 2 staring eyes, and a mass of tentacles. Its body is layers of thick muscle. 6 of the beast's tentacles are shorter, with the remaining 2 nearly twice as long and covered in barbs. Its beak-like mouth is located where the tentacles meet the lower portion of its body. The average Kraken measures around 100 feet long. However, the near immortality of the creatures leads to tales of staggeringly huge beasts that sailors mistake for small islands. Krakens have huge eyes, which give them formidable sight and the ability to hunt in total darkness. Most Krakens spend their lives at incredible ocean depths, but some make lairs near the lands of men where there are plentiful supplies of food and slaves. Voracious carnivores, Krakens need vast territories in which to feed, the greatest whale constituting little more than a fair meal to a Kraken. Many tales tell of Krakens snatching sailors off the deck of ships with 2 massive barbed tentacles. A ship might ward off a Kraken attack by hauling 5 dead bodies and a chest of copper behind it. Despite their formidable shape, Krakens do not view their own forms as sacred and willingly alter themselves if they believe it might benefit them in any way, whether it be with increased power or simply a more threatening appearance. Festering within the depths of vast watery abysses lie the lightless domains of the mercifully elusive Krakens. Only the foolhardy or insane try to learn more of these terrible leviathans, as even the mere rumor of a Kraken can turn back a fishing vessel or force a captain to hastily beach his ship. Those who learn much of Krakens speak of scattered island communities or remote coastal villages that worship these tentacled horrors, even supplicating them with slave offerings to stave off their fury. Yet the most terrible reports arise only occasionally, ever so rarely, when some insane escapee emerges from decades in the dark to tell of air-filled prisons far below where there's no hope. These escapees never live long in the light. Some whisper that evil gods made Krakens so the creatures of the land would never dare stray far from their homes. Others argue, primarily against those who posit the opposite, that aboliths created Krakens. Regardless, scant knowledge leads to conjecture, as Krakens share nothing, least of all their secrets. Most laymen accept that there are fathoms where the ocean is blackest and the sea is most elemental, and from these trenches of primordial fluids and infinite darkness, Krakens first emerged. Krakens themselves believe they came from the mouth of the great unbeheld, a Kraken of impossible size who sleeps within the deepest ocean abyss and whose great tentacles thread through the depths of the entire world. Only by claiming all oceans as their own and enslaving every other sea-bound race might the great unbeheld rise and flood the world, giving them dominion over all. Although Krakens don't worship the great unbeheld as a god, it is treated as a communal ancestor and is often touted as the favored child of Panzuriel, or even as the guard of his severed limb. Another origin story claims that at the beginning of time, Krakens served as fierce warriors of the gods in their war against the primordials. When the gods' wars ended, the Kraken shrugged free their servitude, never again to be bound by other beings. And still another origin story tells of a much more alien beginning. In the uncharted darkness of the cosmos, alien monstrosities dream of the destruction of all things. At the beginning of time, the monstrous krakens escaped the far realm and made their way across the astral sea in the mortal realm, trailing the detritus of broken worlds. These same krakens emerge from time to time in the material world, from their dark domains, slaughtering at will and leaving nothing but ruin in their wake. This story implies that krakens existed before mortal life began, at a time when the plains were filled with the mad creatures of the far realm. Some say that the Blood War, or the Dawn War, was the cataclysm that saw these dread creatures scattered and lost. Whatever the cause, krakens are rare in both the world and the astral sea. Aggressive, cruel, and highly intelligent, krakens rule entire undersea regions. Though these behemoths are rarely seen on the surface, stories tell of ships dragged under and islands scoured of life by these monsters. All krakens believe themselves to be divine creatures and the rightful rulers of the deep. As such, they cannot conceive of a sea without their presence. Thus, they never knowingly put themselves at physical risk and always plan 100 cunning escapes. Krakens possess cruel, calculating intelligences and use them to move events to their own advantage. Effectively immortal, krakens patiently plot over centuries to concoct elaborate escapes, hatch fearful schemes, and breed loyal servants in their sightless lairs deep below the waves. While nearly all krakens keep slaves or dupe worshippers, kraken elders often manipulate the younger of their kind, sacrificing them to enemies or duping them into performing dangerous undertakings. The prevalence of such trickery causes krakens to wisely avoid others of their kind and hold them in constant suspicion. Many krakens, but by no means all, keep lairs in caves deep below the waves. These dens often serve as little more than hiding places, both for the kraken and the useful treasures it might collect. To krakens, prime among such exploitable valuables are slaves, and as such, a kraken's lair might hold several leaking air-filled chambers. Egoists of the highest degree, krakens never deign to sully their tentacles with simple chores. Whether its desires entail carving its lair to meet its whims, or spying upon land-dwelling creatures, a kraken's slaves serve out of fear and the knowledge that escape means only a crushing death miles below the surface. Regardless of their uses, to krakens, the words slave and meal often prove interchangeable. Those krakens truly devoted to keeping slaves might house wholly degraded societies within their lairs. As generation after generation of servants are born, serve, and die, never knowing a world of light and open air. Even if liberated, such slaves rarely flourish if brought to the surface, as all their minds know are the horrors of worshipping a living god and its foul experiments. This is to say nothing of the scars, grafts, and other manipulations krakens regularly inflict upon their servants to better serve their needs. Besides slaves, krakens often maintain relationships with groups of underwater-dwelling evil creatures. While such associations are rarely equal, creatures like sahuagin, scrags, and sea hags frequently worship krakens or pay them tribute in return for aid or protection. To a kraken, such arrangements serve merely as preliminaries to it claiming an entire tribe, society, or race as its slaves. Krakens possess an astonishing sense of self-preservation, and, if ever victory seems unlikely, retreat always remains an option. Easily embittered and possessing lengthy memories, a defeated kraken might calculate its revenge for decades, inflicting brutal retribution upon foes who have long forgotten their victories. Krakens use their control weather and control wind spell-like abilities to bring foes to them or sink vessels without ever rising above the water. Despite these powers, many krakens relish the chance to personally splinter ship masts and drown weaker creatures. Many seafarers know to rightly fear gales that seemingly arise from nowhere, as these might prove to be the work of a kraken. Krakens are most confident and deadly within the expanses of the sea. However, those somehow removed from such an environment prove a far less significant threat. If a kraken can be lured into a port or other coastal inlet, spells like control water, various wall spells, and creative uses of transmute rock to mud or move earth might trap the creature inland. Krakens are keenly aware of their reliance on water, however making such traps incredibly difficult to spring. In keeping with their extreme sense of self-preservation, Krakens often protect themselves within layers of magical defenses. Krakens with slaves might also have spellcasters cast long-lasting defensive spells on them. The most twisted and ambitious Krakens might even seek out creatures capable of giving them grafts or researching ways to adopt a variety of acquired enhancements. Krakens can extricate themselves from dire situations in water at rapid speeds, covering such retreats with clouds of ink. Once out of direct danger, a Kraken invariably begins plotting its revenge, relying on its minions to extend its reach far beyond the sea. However, even with armies of minions at their disposal, Krakens favor ending such standing debts themselves. Thus, a Kraken's servants often merely lure prey within reach, letting their master take revenge at his leisure. Krakens rarely appear on the surface, but when they do, they herald times of change and doom. When roused to action, these titans directly attack coastal cities or whole armadas. Kraken onslaughts persist until their wrath is sated, their divine patrons are appeased, or their egos are placated by valuable offerings. Loners, primarily because of their evil, selfish minds and huge appetites, Krakens claim territories ranging over hundreds of miles. However, once every century or so, Krakens instinctually come together in deep ocean trenches to mate. This fleshy, feeling ritual is abhorrent to the gold-calculating minds of Krakens and is known to them as the hateful compulsion. Krakens from vast areas of the ocean gather, both fearful of the danger in doing so, but unable to control their lustful compulsions. Males frequently get torn to pieces by the less numerous females in their insane desire to be fertilized, turning the sea black with Kraken blood and causing parts of limbs and heads to wash ashore in oily froths. This black, rotting flesh has an appalling odor and is avoided by living animals. In their coitus-fueled madness, Krakens involuntarily create cataclysmic storms, leading to horrifically sized whirlpools and waves, which might rage for months or even years. The hateful compulsion continues until all the assembled females are impregnated, an act that forces a male to struggle for life within its mate's grasp, a lustful battle capable of lasting for months. Fearing such eventualities, some Krakens have risked the most extreme measures, including self-surgery and undeath, to avoid these spawning moots. After mating, great black eggs soon fill deep oceanic trenches. Kraken young take a decade to hatch, and over this time, even the broodmothers who watch their spawn lose many of their eggs to daring predators. Occasionally, and for reasons even Krakens cannot understand, some broodmothers devour their whole clutch, an act that always leads to the loss of the Kraken's sanity. Such an insane Kraken is a terrible foe indeed, as its calamitous psychosis menaces anything that lives in or near the sea. Some suggest that this madness is connected to the insane god Dune, as part of some unfathomable plot he weaves from his prison. The few Krakens who do not worship Panzuriel often turn to Dune, usually after witnessing a broodmother consume her young. Some of the foulest cults of the mortal and immortal realms worship Krakens, and when one of these monstrosities appears, its twisted followers are rarely far behind it. Aberrant creatures see Krakens as living avatars of the madness of the far realm. With dark rituals, they awaken these creatures from their slumber beneath the waves or in vast emptiness of the astral sea. Like all creatures of the far realm, Krakens hunger for the destruction of living things. No matter where they first appear, they are inevitably drawn to concentrations of sentient creatures, whether the smallest seaside settlement or a great astral dominion teeming with life. Some Krakens are virtual gods, with cults and minions spread across sea and land. Others are allied with Hydra, the evil princess of elemental water, and use her cultists to enforce their will on land and sea. A Kraken pleased with its worshippers can becalm rough seas and bring a bounteous harvest of fish to the faithful. However, the devious mind of a Kraken is ancient beyond reckoning and is ultimately bent on the ruination of all things. A Kraken can seem godlike to folk who have witnessed its fury, those who mistake its might for divine power, and those who seek to appease the monster through veneration are sometimes rewarded with power to serve thereafter as Kraken priests. The Kraken can make itself dimly aware of a Kraken priest's thoughts if the two are on the same plane of existence, and it can push aside the priest's personality and control it directly. Kraken priests can thereby act as eyes and ears for their masters, and when the Kraken has something to say, the priest becomes its mouthpiece. Every Kraken priest undergoes a change in appearance that reflects the Kraken's influence, although each one differs in how its reverence is displayed. One Kraken priest might have ink-black eyes and a sucker tentacle for a tongue, while another has a featureless face and a body covered in eyes and mouths that dribble seawater. These horrific manifestations intensify when the Kraken possesses its minion to utter its dire pronouncements. For centuries, the people of the remote St. Teller's Isle have kept a deadly secret. Their religion, on the exterior nothing more than a quaint island tradition of worshipping spirits of the sea, in fact reveres the depth-spawned abomination they know as worshipful Kuthural. Having lived below the island for countless ages, worshipful Kuthural claims St. Teller's and the seas around it as his personal dominion. In the centuries since worshippers came to this island, Kuthural has styled himself as a patron deity and the sole source of either their prosperity or annihilation. Fearful and reverent toward their worldly god, all the people of St. Teller's devotedly serve the Kraken, whispering frequent prayers and decorating their structures with countless ichthyoidal shapes, dreading his anger and the storms and droughts it incurs. Worshipful Kuthural forces two obligations upon his cultists: sacrifice and service. Sacrifice to Kuthural is conducted in a yearly ceremony known as the Drowning Man. In this ritual, a dozen men and women are imprisoned within the belly of a gigantic man-shaped wicker cage, then slowly lowered off a vast cliff known to the locals as the Despair of Salvation. Kuthural accepts the drowning victims and dines not only upon their flesh, but their very souls, as the rite has long since transformed him into a soul eater. Some sacrifices he lets drown, transforming them into drowned undead, which he then sends to attack ships and bring him more victims. Even as a yearly offering, the Drowning Man ceremony threatens to deplete the adult population of St. Teller's. Thus, many of worshipful Kuthural's cultists travel to distant lands, telling of their home as either an island paradise or an oppressed slave state in need of a savior, all in hopes of luring victims to the Drowning Man. For their lifelong service, worshipful Kuthural blesses his most pious followers with his touch, a gift his cultists claim brings them closer to the sea, but in fact begins the transformation into a deep thrall. The island elders exhibit the most obvious changes, as they are afflicted with huge bulbous eyes, tentacle-like limbs, gasping breath, and innumerable skinless abscesses, marks from the touch of Kuthural's powerful suckered arms. Once these cultists complete their apotheosis into creatures more Kraken than humanoid, worshipful Kuthural accepts their leap from the Despair of Salvation. Upon taking this final step, Kuthural welcomes his deluded children into the ranks of an aberrant generation of cultists that he sequesters beneath the island in a hellish, tentacular mockery of life above. This has been D&D Legends and Lore. Thank you for watching and listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And please consider leaving us an Apple Podcast review, as it helps tremendously with discoverability. If you're interested in supporting us and helping us keep the lights on here at D&D Legends and Lore, please also consider checking out our Patreon or becoming a YouTube member. And with that being said, thank you again for watching, and happy adventuring.